Looking back, look how big it is. God, look how big it is. You could put my probably entire university in this, right in the Oval. It's unbelievable. The Oval is certainly, this is from osu.edu. The Oval is certainly a quintessential part of the Ohio State University campus. One could think of the space as a genius loci for the university. LOCI, how do you say it? Loci? Truly acting as a symbol for Ohio State. However, the Oval hasn't always been the place it is today. Oh, we're getting down to it, folks. This is a space that has been constantly evolving for more than a century. In the beginning, there was only the library and University Hall, that's the one we were just at, in the area that defines the Oval today. This lawn outside was originally used for livestock. Well, it is an agricultural, that's what the original name was, the Mechanical and Agricultural College. Something like that. Or agricultural or mechanical, I don't know which order. We'll find out. The lot outside was originally used for livestock to graze. It wasn't until 1901 that this space began to resemble the opal-shaped figural void. Who wrote this? Oval-shaped figural void that it is today. Guys, you got to call me. I'm going to help you with your writing on this. Back when the Oval started to become the Oval, okay, you really need to call me. Or let's get one of your English students on this. Back when the Oval started to become the Oval, wow, we need some editing on this. It was nothing more than a grassy stretch of land adjacent to a number of important academic buildings. As it is still used today, faculty and students would use this space for anything between leisure activities to events put on by the university. The paths on this lawn began to evolve gradually from the natural circulation students had when traveling between classes. That's kind of cool. So yeah, you can see here. I wonder if this will open up. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see much there, but it's not like a, they didn't clearly define it like an oval right from the beginning, right? It just kind of evolved. So I guess that's maybe better, right? Because how would they have known? Like in other words, if it was 1870, let's say it's 1900, right? So now the university's developed. They still didn't. There wasn't enough going on that you would say, you know what we should do? Let's create an oval. Right, so that came over time, and that's why it's not like when you get over there, it doesn't actually, I don't know if I'm making sense. It's not like I mean, you can see it here. It's not like a perfect oval. It just evolved as the university evolved. These axes students created. All right, I'll give it to you. These axes students created walking. Wait a minute. Let me just do that again. These axes students created walking began to build relationships between the different buildings. All right. All right. Well. Okay, I would just reword that, but that's okay. These axes students created walking began to build the relationships between the different buildings, occupying the space as well as with the campus as a whole. Okay, I'll give it to you. Some examples of this would be the axes shared between the Thompson Library and High Street. Okay. A word like axes, this is just my opinion. This is for Zach, who wrote this. All right, so he's using it Zach is using it in the historical context of that. See, the original plan of Axis set to organize this space. Okay, so I'll give it to you. But normally I wouldn't use that word over and over. In the modern, I think maybe I'm just being too picky here. So let's just keep going. Because it's just too repetitive. Some examples of this would be the axes shared between the Thompson Library and High Street, quote, the Long Walk, Derby and Orton Hall, and Haggerty and Hayes Hall. These axes help organize the space by defining certain boundaries. The Long Walk axis acts as a separation between North and South Campus and shows a clear symmetry between the two sides. So he's referring to the drawings, and that's how they are termed back then, so that's fine. There are also several notable points on the lawn that help organize the space as well. For example, there are certain boulders, such as the one outside Orton Hall. I think that's Orton. The Latitude Stone or the Bucket and Dipper Rock outside Pomerine Hall. Some of these rocks mark historical significance. Others stand in memory of our fallen students, such as the class of 1892's Memorial Rock that was retrofitted with a plaque in 1917 to honor those who fought in World War I, and it goes on. Rock outside Lazenby Hall marks the 1897 founding of the fraternity Alpha Zeta, etc., etc. Citations. John H., the OSU Oval, December 2016, Google Maps, etc., etc. All right. So I'm just maybe being too picky, but it just sounded a little repetitive. But that's cool though. All right, Zach, I appreciate that. That's good information. That's what we were looking for. You cleared it up. It's so cool, man. I mean, I just think it's, when you think about a college campus, it's the oval and all that stuff. It's kind of now, on the other hand, I think they could do more, like what they did with Mirror Lake, with the landscaping. I think they could do more of that throughout the campus. Now, I understand not everybody, it's expensive to do all that stuff. I think one of the best moves they made was to stick with these lampposts. That gives it the old school feeling. But, like through here, for example, they could do more, I think. Landscaping and all that, but they might say, hey, man, we're running a college here. This isn't a park. I appreciate your desire to make this stretch a little less plain, but we're not trying to win blue ribbons at the state fair, okay? We're trying to educate our population so we don't end up like you. Trying to be funny on the internet, and it's not working for you, sir. Yeah, so here's Haggerty Hall. Plus, it wasn't meant to be. I don't think they're really too worried about being, like for example, if you go to USC, it has a real consistency of like Spanish architecture, a real consistent architecture throughout the school. So you get this overall feeling of Stanford is that same way. So I don't think they were necessarily that concerned about that here. Like they don't see, the buildings are kind of different. right? I think it was just more of a practical, you know, they would build a building for whatever purposes, and that's it. The Underground Railroad on university land along Lake Erie, Toledo, Sandusky, Cleveland, Fairport Harbor, and Ashtabula Harbor were major routes from slavery to freedom in Canada. Even though African Americans lived throughout the state, Ohio itself was not really safe. Slavery was sanctioned across the United States. Escapees and free African Americans alike were constantly threatened by recapture or kidnapping. Ohio also had black laws, often used to prevent long-term settlement. Frequently, the goal of the Freedom Train was to help escapees through Ohio rather than to Ohio. Well, that's important. That's an important distinction. I thought I broke something. Nevertheless, station masters aided thousands of escapees, a record about which Ohio and Ohio State can be proud. Marker 5 of 5 presented by Ohio Staters. He set that down and it made a sound, and the sidewalk shook a little, and it felt like I had stepped on something and broke it. It really felt like it was under my foot. And I thought, what did I just break? Like some kind of panel or let's look at this one right here. Thank you for visiting our campus and breaking things. In 2013, Ohio State installed more than 400 geothermal wells to heat and cool South Campus residence halls. They would also put freshmen over the no, I'm just kidding. The geothermal system will reduce the university's energy consumption dramatically during the life of the buildings, providing about 60% of the heating and 30% of the cooling. Oh, cool. Takes heat from the buildings and moves it back underground in the summer, and in the winter it absorbs heat from underground and moves it to the buildings. See what happens when you have a major research, mechanical, agricultural, and scientific research university? You get some cool heating and cooling, dude. God, yeah, guys, it's gorgeous out here. The weather has been just amazing. I mean, honestly, August in Ohio is usually a muggy, hot, sort of horrid affair. But it sounds like LA is the location getting the horrible weather right now. It's funny, I was driving out to a grocery store last night. It was probably 9:30, and I guess that's late. I guess that's pretty late at most locations, but most traffic has died down in most cities, I think, by that time. But still, the difference in traffic between LA and Columbus was stark. Yeah, they're really see, those are the carts they're using for moving students in. They're really wiping them down. They're really disinfecting everything, man. It's amazing. It's the couple of employees spraying down the carts that they give the students to move into these dorms. Is this a dorm? I'm guessing this is a dorm. Or, I don't know. Really fascinating about the Oval. And it kind of explains to me a lot, because I've been by here a bunch, wondered about that University Hall, why it was off to the side like that. Because they didn't have any, it wasn't like they said, this is the Ohio State University campus. I've drawn this oval that represents the O, and the optimism that permeates this campus. They didn't, you know what I mean? They put in the building. They let the students walk around, and they go, okay, here's the path. And we got kind of an oval going. Let's go with it. And I kind of appreciate that more than if it was laid out from the beginning. That would almost seem a little too neat and tidy. Although I think University of Virginia, wasn't that designed from the beginning by Thomas Jefferson? So I can see both sides, but it feels a little more organic. That the University Hall was 1873, and then they had cows. They had cows outside in the yard there. It's a nice truck right there. Chevy Silverado. It goes from the farm to the opera effortlessly with 4 doors. Is anybody really going from the farm to the opera? Come on, hurry up. We've got to get to the opera opening. You'll arrive at the opera in style in the Chevy Silverado with 4 doors for all of your passengers. They showed the farmer guy in his tux.